I'm Dr. Tanya Brown. I'm here with one of an excellent community member of our SLC13A5 research community, Dr. David Sauer. And I just have to mention
Mhm.
that Dr. Sauer has been involved for many years now, from his time as a postdoc and solving the cryoEM structure of the SLC13A5 protein, NACT,
Mhm.
and now is leading his own group at the University of Oxford. So we're very excited to have you here, Dr. Sauer, and we wanted to share a little bit about you with our community.
Yeah.
So can you say, how did you first get involved with TESS Research Foundation?
Sure. So thank you, Tanya. Yeah, I got involved. It was, I won't call it serendipitous, but I was as you said, a postdoc with Daneng Wang at NYU School of Medicine. And we were studying SLC13A5 kind of generically. It was interesting biologically. It's interesting. At the time, actually, when we started on it, it was interesting in terms of fat metabolism. Might this be an obesity target? And we were sort of doing just our I want to say standard science, but our specialty, trying to understand how this thing works. And then lo and behold, oh wow, it actually has immediate medical relevance. It's not just something that, hey, might be useful someday for some kind of drug. It's like now this now we can directly help people. We can directly understand what's going on. And so that's I think I'm not sure who contacted who, but we're working on this. TESS came into being. It's like how how can we help? Um, and I got to go along the ride for that.
Yeah. And we're so glad that you did. And I think you hit upon a great point of like, whether you're doing basic science, it can become translational just with the disease
Hmm.
relevance. And it's all very important even before the disease
Yeah.
relevance yourself. So that's great. And so, you mentioned your time as a postdoc in the work that you are doing now or doing back then, but now that you're leading your own group, can you
Mhm.
explain your SLC13A5 research projects that you're working on now?
Sure. So my goal is to essentially build uh, more efficient tools for studying SLC13A5, targeting it and as for therapeutics, but essentially just building the tool set we need for what we call translational projects, but essentially drug discovery, help people projects. Um, but just setting up the I hate the technical term, but platforms the we need to be able to do this 1,000 times so that way we can see whether or not this drug candidate works or not. Um, and that's really what my group sets up is those sorts of translational platforms with the idea of then we can turn that into screening and new small molecules or new whatever to ultimately help people.
Yeah, that it's so great. And something I really appreciate about you is that you attended our conference. Gosh, it was just
Hmm.
over a year ago.
Yep.
And afterwards, you came up to us, I can't remember if it was immediately after or the month after, and you said, I think this tool, as you said, a
Yep.
platform, would be really helpful now that I've heard from
Yep.
all of these different partners in the community. And I think it
Hmm.
it speaks so highly to you and your investment in this community that you are coming up with ideas too, and really listening to patients and other researchers and
Hmm.
industry members, clinicians, hearing and synthesizing this and saying, here's something that I think we need, and I have the tools and the know-how to be able to accomplish these goals. So
Hmm.
we really appreciate that. And you had touched upon screening. You mentioned screening. Can you explain a little bit more about that and the platform that you're building?
Sure. So screening is kind of what it sounds like in that if you start out from scratch saying, I want to make a drug, there's I mean literally millions and billions of combinations of how do you put these molecules together to make a drug. Um, and we need to find out which one works and which one doesn't and which one hits your target, but not everything else. So it doesn't cause side effects. And so in evaluating and testing all these different possible molecules, you need a way to do that efficiently. Because if you test them one at a time, it would take forever. Um, so really, that's what we're doing. We're not really always focusing on the best method, the absolute. This will give you absolutely precise numbers or something like that. It's We want to be able to do things efficiently and pump things through so that way we can take a library of possible molecules and see which ones do the things we want to. And then we'll take it forward for further evaluation.
Yeah, thanks for, explaining that. And for maybe someone who's unfamiliar with a library, what that is,
Oh,
maybe can you explain what
yeah.
that is? Or share
So
more?
through a variety of different mechanisms, some which is just here are possible molecules we want to test to see if they do something that we want. These could be things you've generated in a computer. These could be a famous way is what's called a drug repurposing study. We take things that have already worked, and but maybe they also hit this thing that we care about. Um, and so there's times when you want to do that. But it's just a collection of molecules that you think these have a chance. And now I need to test them.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks for elaborating on that. And I think, for our broader community, when we're talking about molecules, that these could be molecules that would be potential medicines.
Yep.
And so it could be medicine that works for, other diseases, and they just haven't been tested
Hmm.
for SLC
Yeah,
13A5 epilepsy, or they could also be, as you mentioned, a new medicine, a
yep,
molecule that's developed as a new medicine. And so it could be really this platform that you're building could be powerful, very, very powerful to identify
you bet.
something that already exists and we're just looking at it in a new way, or it's developing a new potential treatment for SLC13A5
Exactly. That is
epilepsy.
exactly the ambition. Yep.
Yeah. So this is great. So, what you're building is so great. And I really appreciate your collaborative nature and, all of the effort that you're putting into this, which is a significant amount of effort. And so what really inspires you to contribute your time and your
Mhm.
skills to SLC 13A5?
Honestly, it's just the opportunity to do something helpful. Like to it, like you said, I trained as a basic science, like literally this atom connects with that atom to connect to that atom to do some fundamental thing in the body, which is interesting. But now the intent, what I'm hoping to do is something useful, something that um, can get to patients and make their lives better. This is what we call translational science, but that really is what it is to 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 make something that can guide clinical. It doesn't even need to be a drug. It can also be just guidance of how do we treat this thing. Um, uh, uh, but just make people's lives better with my scientific output rather than just discovering things, which is fun. But do now I can do something useful.
Yeah, that that's fantastic. I think you really highlight the importance of basic science and basic science training, and then using
Hmm.
that skill set then to help people.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And so, for the research space in the SLC 13A5 research space, I'm curious about your opinion. What do you think is one of the most pressing challenges or opportunities for the SLC 13A5 community in terms of research?
In terms of research, it still seems to be this open question of what is really going wrong. We know on sort of an atomic level, this bit is broken, and and so SLC13A5 no longer does its job as it should. But how does that connect to epilepsy? How does that connect to the brain? Um, Going from this atomic thing to person, that connection is missing. And we could sure do with more tools and more insights and more ideas that we just need to weed through to figure out what is going wrong. Um,
Yeah, I think it's a big question. What is truly the disease causing mechanism?
yeah,
What is it so that we can target
yeah.
that with, potential new treatments? Um, so, just to wrap up, it's been really great, chatting and learning about your research program. And is there anything else, other thoughts that you want to share with the community?
Mm, I guess the only bit I can share is just that um, the TESS Foundation is. I mean, I work in a translational department and on a number of rare diseases. Um, And the TESS Foundation is exceptional in getting people together. You mentioned the conference, just getting people together, swap ideas, just hash things out of what should we try next. And that's not just one. It's not a winning. It's what five things should we try next. Um, and you all are exceptionally good at that, and those meetings are absolutely crucial to coming up with the 2 year plan, the 5 year plan of how are we going to tackle this. I haven't experienced that anywhere else, and it's been really productive. Um,
Well, thank you for that. We're glad to hear that
yeah,
feedback and really
yeah,
appreciate that because it takes a lot of effort on everyone for our
yeah,
patient community to come
yeah.
together and
Well,
the research community and
yeah,
everyone, industry, clinicians, and other government
yeah,
officials. So
sure.
it's
Well,
hopeful to hear that it's
yeah,
productive.
and actually point out something I didn't say explicitly in there. Having the patients and their family there is absolutely invaluable. It's easy to think of this as a newborn disease. It's like that's true, but there are also patients today who are 10, 20 years old, who need guidance and treatment and may not be exactly the same between the two. And that's helpful to us of honestly patients coming up to or patient families coming up to me saying these are our concerns. What are those should be the priorities, and help shape the work that gets done.
Yeah. Thanks for highlighting that. That is something that is a really important point that
Yeah,
even though this starts in newborns, we have adults in our community too who
yeah,
are affected by this disorder.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's an excellent point. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge, and we look forward to continuing to work together in the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me.